And we are live. Finally, thank you. Thank you, everybody. We are finally live here. Sorry for the delay. But there was some technical difficulty I had to figure out. But welcome to Robbie Rants Live here on Pop Culture Philosophers, Lead, Jazz, and more, whatever you want to talk about. We're going to let some of you guys get in here. What's up, Iron Galactus? How you doing today, buddy? We're going to be talking about the upcoming comic books first and foremost. We're going to do a little bit of discussion about just what's going on in general with comic books, pop culture, whatever you guys want to talk about. And I'm going to be doing a special show and tell today of my Superpowers Lex Luthor action figure and the Lex Soar vehicle. So that's exciting, at least for me. I decided to implement some show and tell type stuff into the live streams because I like showing off some of my toys and stuff, especially the superhero stuff. So how are you guys doing? We know Iron Galactus is up here. Got a few more of you guys in, so say what's up when you get here. Let me know who is in the chat today, who is on the live stream with us. We're going to be looking at some upcoming comic books this week. That's usually how we start off. What's up, Bateman? How you doing, buddy? Good to hear from you, man. Welcome. So from Dark Horse, we'll start with some Dark Horse and let's just get into it. Black Hammer fans rejoice. Age of Doom #3 is out this week. Buffy season 12, The Reckoning #1 starts this week. That's for Buffy fans. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of like the big hurrah of the Buffy comics. I have not been keeping up with them because as huge of a Buffy fan as I am, those books have been weird and I don't know, just up and down. Ether, Copper Golems #2 is out from Dark Horse this week. The second Hellboy Omnibus is out this week. Mike and Mignola, Dark Horse Comics, are putting out all the Hellboy stuff in these beautiful like paperback omnibus editions. They're awesome. They're amazing. You should totally check them out. If you've never read Hellboy, you totally should, by the way. And a new Usagi Yojimbo. That's awesome. Now we'll look at IDW. What's up, Robert? How you doing, buddy? Got some more people in here. How you guys doing today? We're going to be talking about the upcoming comic books, pop culture, and everything. Plus, I'm going to show and tell a little bit of my Lex Superpowers action figure a little bit later. I'm excited for that. So we'll let a few more people in here as I look through the IDW books. Now, contrary to popular belief, I do not stay that up to date on what is coming out. So usually when I look at this list on Sunday night, this is the first time I'm actually looking at it. Yeah, nothing of note from IDW for me, at least. Maybe Dynamite. Probably not, but maybe. It's not looking like it, guys. Hey, what's up, Bry Guy? How you doing? I told you it was just going to be a second. Sorry about the delay, guys. There was some technical difficulties. But I think we got it figured out. And thank you, by the way, Iron Galactus, for the instant thumbs up. Everybody, thumbs up, by the way. That is like one of the most important things you can do if you support a YouTube channel is to give them the thumbs up. And comment and just be involved. And thank you guys so much. Oh, from Dynamite, we got James Bond, The Body #6. It's the final issue of Alesh Kott's run on James Bond. I've really been liking it. When those James Bond miniseries from Dynamite Comics are on, they're on. Like, I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that you're kicked off by Warren Ellis. We're about to get into the Image comics coming up this week, guys. But let me look at some of the comments. David, what's up, buddy? Please explain Mr. Miracle. Well, I don't want to spoil anything for people that are trade waiting or waiting for it to be completed or, anything like that. But I think it's a really deep look at depression and anxiety. But ultimately, I think Mr. Miracle is the greatest escape artist of all time. And what Tom King and Mitch Gerads are doing is they're telling a story about escaping the anti-life equation of escaping death and darkness and melancholy and depression and anxiety and just being, down in darkness. I don't know. To me, that's what I think they're doing. How literal they're going to take that, whether he actually committed suicide in the first issue and now he's like dead and he's like in hell, or whether Darkseid is just, taking him over with the anti-life equation, or whether what I think is that he's actually in, what is that lump thing that Jack Kirby created where it was part of the Final Crisis and Batman and all that stuff, where he can someone can play out a reality and he can connects to him mentally, something like that. I don't know. But to me, it's a really deep and intricate and personal story about depression and things like that. That's just me. But I'm loving it. I'm loving every single issue of it. What's up, Stephanie? How you doing? Just arrived. Never read Hellboy. Well, you should totally get the Hellboy Omnibus Volume 1 that's out right now called Seed of Destruction. You should read and check it out because it's really good horror comics. Mike Mignola is one of my absolute favorite artists of all time. Number 2, right behind Jack Kirby. That's just me personally. I love Mike Mignola's work. It's atmospheric. It's steeped in folklore. And it's very, very creepy, but not in an in-your-face way, but a very subtle kind of way. But it's also kind of quirky and goofy and pulpy all at the same time. And I just love it so much, so much, so much, guys. Oh, Bride Guy, thank you for listening to the podcast, the Avengers podcast. We did that one. That's the newer one, right? Yeah, we just did that before the Infinity War movie came out. Yeah. What's crazy is that, so like, we do these podcasts sometimes to try to time them up, right? So we're into this Avengers podcast, and we haven't seen the movie when we're recording that podcast, so we don't really talk about it or whatever. So it's like, I went back and we on YouTube, the podcasts are like a few months behind. Like more, if you want the most up-to-date podcast, get on iTunes, get on our website, Pop Culture Philosophers, all that stuff. So when they finally hit YouTube, they're a little bit behind. I just lost all the chats. There they are. When they finally hit YouTube, they're a little bit behind. So the Justice League one just came out, and I was listening to a little bit of it, and we are like all gung-ho about that movie, and it's really funny to hear that months later, because ultimately a lot of us didn't really like that movie. All right. But thank you for checking out the podcast, Bride Guy. I really do appreciate it. I think the podcast is awesome. There should be a new one out soon, and then it's on a hiatus for a little bit, but there's like 30-something episodes of that stuff. Some good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. David Crone says everyone should check out Barbarella. All right. I was never the biggest Barbarella fan. Yeah, Bateman. 5 more issues. Yeah, it sucks, but it's nice that things have an ending, because too many things continue on until irrelevance, if that makes sense. We're going to look at some of the Image comics coming out this week. Been reading The Beef, number 5 is out this week. Crude, number 3 is out this week. Curse Words fans, rejoice. That's my favorite thing to say, is like, fans of whatever, rejoice, it's out this week. Curse Words number 15 is out this week. Days of Hate number 6 is out this week for Leishcock fans like myself. A new Deadly Class, speaking about Rick Remender, Robbie, we were talking about that. Deadly Class 35 is out this week. Evolution number 7, Flavor number 2, Gideon Falls number 4. Instant Pick of the Week alert right there. Gideon Falls has been one of the best, most atmospheric, deep, dense, just beautiful horror mysteries in comics ever. And I'm loving it so much so far. Lance, I don't know if you're here yet, but God Complex number 6 is out this week. Hit Girl number 5 is out this week. That starts off the Jeff Lemire run, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. That's kind of exciting. You know, and they're already putting out the Hit Girl and Columbia trade. I'll read that in trade. The first Ice Cream Man trade is out this week. Infidel number 4 is out this week. The other great, brilliant, atmospheric, incredibly creepy horror comic out right now from Image Comics, Infidel number 4 this week. Moonshine number 11 for Azzarello fans, rejoice. It's out this week. A new one from, here's a new one from Image. Shanghai Red number 1 is out this week. Skyward number 3 is out this week. That's a cool, fun, easy breezy, cool concept type book to check out from Image. Some really good books from Image, guys. We'll get into DC, Marvel, and the others just a minute. Let me get to some of your comments. Just me, or was Magic Order really good this week? I really indeed liked Magic Order a lot. I thought it was really good. I thought it was some of Coypiel's best artwork I've ever seen. I really like the concept, really like the story. It's basically like Mark Miller is kind of doing like these, he's taking like really famous movies and comic booking them up a little bit, right? So like Superior is Big meets superheroes. Super Crooks is Ocean's 11 meets superheroes, that kind of type of thing. This is kind of like a more adult Harry Potter meets superheroes in a way. One issue in, we'll see what happens, but I liked it. I like the setup. I like the characters. I love the artwork. Oh, Ruben, don't worry for being late, dude. I was like 16, 17 minutes late starting this thing because of some difficulties with the computer. But no, we're all on time right now. Ruben says he liked Magic Order and wants to say Happy Father's Day. That's right, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day. And the World Cup's going on, all that stuff. Mexico beat Germany. Crazy, crazy stuff going on in the world today. All right, David. About Mr. Miracle. Heck yeah, heck yeah. Salutations, other David. Yeah, Jax, the new pop culture wrap-up had a lot of cool stuff to talk about. The new Thanos one-shot from Duggan and Cates, which is awesome. The Heroes in Crisis book from Tom King. Lots of excitement. Some returning canceled books like Unstoppable Wasp and Iceman. Me personally, I loved the hell out of Jeremy Whitley's Unstoppable Wasp. I did. I loved it so much. I loved that character. I loved the way I just loved everything about it. So I'm so pumped that is back. Seriously. But good stuff. What's up, Robert? Yeah, he agrees with Ruben. Well, thank you, David. David was also listening to the podcast, the Avengers one. That's awesome, man. Yeah, we have an 80s sci-fi one out right now. Fantasy's on the way. And more are coming, guys. And I think the next one when we start, I think it's season 4 that we're about to start. When we start that one, like end of summer, it's going to be Steven Spielberg. So that's going to be fun. I don't know why David's in here tonight. David, that's funny. Anybody else have no idea what Doomsday Clock is about till Rockin Robbie explains it? I really enjoy doing the extra videos on Doomsday Clock, and really it takes me, I don't want to spoil too much in the weekly comic book review. Plus, it usually comes out technically before shops open, so I don't want to, really spoil too much or do anything crazy with that. But I love doing the explanation videos and talking about that because that's a whole day of research for me, like to look into it, because like I'm going back and I'm rereading it and I'm looking at like this panel and what this reference is, and I got a copy of the Watchmen that is like dog-eared like crazy that I've been going back and forth because there are actual like panel parallels from issue to issue and things like that, and really interesting, intricate type stuff. But I'm loving Doomsday Clock. So thank you for checking out those videos. Yeah, Barbarella is Mike Carey, so that's one positive thing I can say about it. I mean, I haven't read it, so I don't really know. But Mike Carey is a very good writer. He's doing Highest House right now. Amazing, amazing book. Amazing book. But thank you guys that listen to the podcast, man. We really appreciate that. That's a very loose thing that we do, man, with the podcast. We have a lot of fun with it. But it's the most loose thing you'll ever see. Even more looser than this. Does that make sense? A bunch of guys getting together, hanging out, drinking, talking about pop culture, comic books, movies, things like that. And the cats on the podcast are really cool. John and Justin and Jeremy and Timothy and Drew. Brooks, of course, and Jelani are on there sometimes. You see them on Movie Monday. There's a new Movie Monday tomorrow morning. Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Gary Frank's doing an amazing job on the artwork on Doomsday Clock. I agree. Yeah, Robert, Gideon Falls and Infidel, just amazing books. Isola, a Bright Guy, you're right. It's a beautiful comic book. It's just absolutely amazing. Dude, Marvel 2-in-1 was my pick of the week, too. But Isola is amazing. Whether it's Isola or Isola, I looked it up in one of those YouTube pronunciation things, and I've heard Isola. So I started saying Isola, and everybody corrects me at the shop. They're like, no, it's Isola. I'm like, man, whatever it is, it's a great book. It's fantastic. It's a good fantasy book. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for watching the videos. Yeah, the Tom King Sanctuary book is super exciting to me. I'm a little just like I hate the fact that they're using the Crisis name when it's not a crisis, because I love these Crisis events. Like that's just me. I love them. I love these giant things. In fact, I just finished my reread of Metal today. That was such a cool Crisis type event, and I think that it's kind of neat, though. I was thinking about it a little bit further, and I was like, Heroes in Crisis. I like how they're taking that term crisis, and we at DC, we know what that word means. And to show that it's just as big of a crisis to deal with the effects of violence in society and on yourself, and especially when you're dealing with it on a daily basis or nightly basis, multiple times a day and night. I think that's actually really cool. So I kind of have to step back on that just a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for that book. I really am. I think Tom King's going to do a good job with it. Harley Quinn, Booster Gold, and Wally West, I think, are the 3 main characters. It's a big murder mystery type thing. I don't know. It may lead into something crazier. Like, I don't know. The golden masks thing that you see on the cover, I thought it was related to Psycho Pirate. Maybe not. Has Batman found a way to kind of like mass produce the Psycho Pirate's mask, or is it just crazy mask figures because no one's supposed to know who they are? I don't know. I'm very interested. It's at the end of September, though. And that's going to be cool. Yes, Stephanie, exactly. Huck is Forrest Gump. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. That's what he does. And he's doing he's very successful with it. And I think it's cool because I don't think anything's wrong with that. I mean, ultimately, there's one story. Who Am I? That was in a movie I just recently watched. It was Amazing Spider-Man. We'll talk about that in a few weeks on Movie Monday, guys. I just posted up in the PCP Army the new Movie Monday schedule because we got Spider-Man 3 tomorrow, Fallen Kingdom next week, the new Jurassic World movie. We're taking a week off for 4th of July. Then we're doing Ant-Man and Wasp. Then we're doing the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And then we're going to be doing some some of the DC animated films. We're going to start with Superman Doomsday and go through order of release. So that's exciting. What's up, Robert? First timer. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the comment. That's awesome. Yeah, Pat, Superman looks great on that cover. That's Clay Mann. I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be really, really cool. Patch, I think Doomsday Clock's going to stay at the level of consistency and awesomeness that it's going to be. I just think that maybe it will come out a little bit more frequently and be a little bit more focused. I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at DC and Warner Brothers and all that stuff right now because of the ultimate failure of their cinematic universe. And I think there's a lot of changes going on. And I think Jeff Johns stepping down is a part of that, but I think it's going to help refocus him on what he's really needed to do. And I think it's a good idea. But I think it will lead to some really, really good content from him. Absolutely. David, I'm with you. More Brooks, right? Brooks is on a bunch of podcasts, guys. So get on there. You hear a lot of Brooks. Brooks gets really animated on the podcast. Brooks is a fun dude. I really like Brooks. Yeah, we got some plans in the works, actually, a new show of which Brooks may at times be a part of. So be on the lookout for that. Some announcements soon. We did just announce Robbie's top 5. It's going to be like a video top 5 series that I start doing in August once we get set over in the new studio and all that stuff. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any suggestions, you should send them to me on the PCP Army. If you send them to me here, I may not remember. Yeah, he was funny on that podcast, wasn't he? Brooks is. If you see Brooks is on a podcast, you should check it out because he's very funny. Stephanie agrees. Brooks is a superstar. We're going to sell T-shirts with Brooks' face on it one day. I promise you. Speaking of shirts, that's funny. Bright Guy, what's up? Everybody order a PCP shirt. There's some cool ones. Yeah, we got a TeePublic site, teepublic.com with Pop Culture Philosophers. I got one coming in. I just actually got this sticker from them of one of our DC ripoff logos. So that's exciting. But yeah, man, if you want to buy a shirt, do it. But we're going to have a Brooks shirt soon. It will happen. Oh, yeah, Jax, the dance scene, you know. But Spider-Man 3, I think, was a fun rewatch, and it was a nice discussion that we had about it. I think it's a nice balanced review. Stephanie, I did enjoy Identity Crisis. I think it's got some problems at times, but at the time, it didn't feel like it did. In today's world, it seems like it's a little problematic at times, which is some of the way it handles some of its more deeper ideas and more controversial subject matter. But I did like Identity Crisis all in all. I am actually a Brad Meltzer fan. So I thought that was a really good book. And whatever happened to Meltzer, he's an author. He does real books, like books without pictures, and he still makes them. They come out all the time. He's got the series of children's books where he focuses on like important historical figures. He's done like I Am Albert Einstein, I Am Gandhi, I Am Rosa Parks. He's got a lot of stuff like that. So Brad Meltzer's out there and doing a lot of stuff. But not so much comic book stuff. His last comic book work, though, was in Action Comics 1000, and it was the story with John Casty. I think, yeah, that's the one with John Casty, right? And I think that was my favorite one. He did that one, right, with it when trying to catch the bullet. That was my favorite one. So good. Batman, the Best Man was the best one in recent history. Best what? Best what, Brian? Any thoughts on the upcoming Superman Year 1? I think I'm suffering from Frank Miller burnout, but I always have high hopes. I have been suffering from Frank Miller burnout since like the early 2000s. But I am excited to see what happens, but I'm very wary anytime Superman is written by Frank Miller because I don't think that Frank Miller is a hopeful, optimistic type writer, and I think that's kind of what Superman is needed. It's okay to portray Superman the way that Frank Miller does in a Batman book when it's from Batman's perspective, but a book that's supposed to be about Superman and from Superman's perspective or about like who is Superman, I'm wary, but I'm very interested in checking it out. That being said, I thought Xerxes so far has been really good. So, but I only read the first 2 issues. I'm waiting. Well, thank you, Spencer. I'm looking forward to doing the top 5 for you guys. A lot of these are originally ideas I just wanted to do blogs for, but writing takes a lot of time that I just don't have right now, and I want to give you guys more content here on the channel. The comics from Italy. What's up? We got Italy in the house, everybody. How you doing? From Italy. That's awesome. Thank you, man. What's up, Otaku? How you doing? What's up, Buff Muffin? Welcome. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Talking about comics, we're about to look at some of the upcoming DC and Marvel comics. If I could select one independent comic book character to join the DC universe, who would it be and why? Oh, man. I think most of my favorite independent comic book characters I like on their own. I like the fact that they're not tied in. That being said, I would like to see Hellboy crossover with some DC characters. You know, there was the Starman Hellboy Batman crossover by James Robinson. That was cool. It'd be nice to see Hellboy kind of be integrated with them, but I wouldn't really want to see him like be there for sure, like all the time. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. Let me think about that. See if I can think about something else. Yeah, what's up, Marco? I just want to say this about that Deathstroke scene. That scene proves that Deathstroke can take out the Justice League single-handedly, but he has spent decades failing to defeat a group of sidekicks. That seems a little silly to me, but that scene was BA. It was super awesome. Thank you, Alicia. It makes me faster. Oh, man, Brian, I really liked the Booster Gold series. I thought that was super, super cool. That's just me, though. Yeah, I agree, Jax. Bendis completely understands Superman, and I'm loving it. In fact, we should have a new issue of Man of Steel out this week with Kevin Maguire on the artwork. That's exciting. Identity Crisis. Oh, the focus of this live stream is to talk about comic books and pop culture. Basically that kind of stuff. We do a weekly comic book review here. We do pop culture wrap-ups, podcasts about movies and comics, all that stuff and more. So that's what we're going to be talking about is comic books. So let's look at DC. DC this week, guys. Like I said, I'm pretty sure Man of Steel is out because that's weekly. So that should be out this week. Buff loves what Bendis is doing on Superman right now. So do I. So do I, man. Totally. DC, here we go, guys. All right. What's up, Chamorro? How you doing? Yeah, Liefeld, Feminist Comics. Man, I don't know. I have thoroughly enjoyed Tom King's Batman run, much more than Snyder's run. Oh, wow. That's a hot take. David Crone agrees, though. That's a hot take. That really is. I really do like what Tom King's doing, but it took me a while to really get into it and accept it and understand, I think, what he's trying to do, which is tell a story about a dude who's been sad his whole life, deciding that he deserves to be happy. So I am liking it. David, I do not agree with you on the Justice League book. I think it's grandiose and awesome. Actually today I finished a reread of Metal, and then I immediately read all 4 issues of No Justice, and then I reread his Justice League #1 for the 3rd time, and I am just oozing with excitement for what Snyder's doing on this book. I am so excited. The prevalency of Martian Manhunter, Lex Luthor, their dynamic, that dichotomy between justice and entropy, justice and doom, bringing the Legion of Doom fully in, and just the characters that they're using, and just it's big, it's crazy. The first issue, they blew up the moon. Like, get back to that, because that's a big deal. That's a whole 8-issue story arc with anybody else. This is just crazy big concepts, ideas. I loved it. I just me though. It's all in the eye of the beholder. But I'm loving his Justice League, and the rereads today cement it. I think Snyder's doing amazing, hella awesome work at DC right now. Yeah, but the Man of Steel book is very, very engaging. Spencer likes the new Justice League. Dave says it might grow on him. It might, and if it doesn't, it just doesn't. But I think it's something that's definitely going to grow on you, because every time, this is the 3rd time I reread issue 1, and I don't normally do that, but I love books that get better the more I read them. And that's what's happening to me on this book. Yeah, James, what's up, buddy? There's a new multiple man issue. I think it's in July. I am very excited to check it out. I think Matthew Rosenberg's got a great knack for dialogue. I'm excited about what he's been doing at the X-Men books right now with New Mutants, especially. He's about to take over Astonishing X-Men. I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. And Multiple Man seems like the type of character that he could do something really interesting with. And I'm excited. I think it just might be his best work at Marvel, just depending on what happens. But I'm loving what he's doing at Punisher as well. Yeah, Stephanie, I agree with you as well. Seeing these big, giant characters from DC and Marvel deal with real-life struggles, I think it's a cool thing. And Tom King is doing that, and he's doing it really, really well. I think that's something a lot of people can't deal with their Batman comics. It took me a second to deal with it as well. What's crazy is, and I'm not suggesting you do this, but if someone went back in time and watched every weekly comic book review I did where I'm talking about Tom King's Batman, you'll see me like be excited, get really frustrated, and you'll see me start slowly understanding what's going on. At least to me, in my head. Yeah, Patch, that was super funny. They're all making fun of Batman's voice. And yeah, the Legion of Doom is so exciting. I'm so excited for that. Well, yeah, Brian, everything's got to go back and revert to the status quo. So, of course, we were always going to get Galactus and Surfer back in the way that they were back in the day. And I'm very excited because, yeah, it means Dan Slott can use them for the Fantastic Four in the future. And some of the best Fantastic Four stories have been Galactus stories. Like the peak of Lee and Kirby is the Galactus story for a lot of people. The peak of John Byrne is that Trial Galactus story. So some really interesting Galactus things. And, yeah. Galactus is one of the best. I love the Fantastic Four. I'm so excited. What's up, Michael? How are you doing, buddy? Yeah, comics. We just talk about everything. Pop culture, whatever you want to talk about. Comics, movies, TV, all that stuff. What's up, Michael? How you doing? My favorite Italian comic book artist. I do not know many Italian comic book characters. For artists, I don't really necessarily know if these people are Italian. Aside from maybe name, I'm probably ignorant on this one. Carmine Infantino is one that comes to my mind, and Dijon Domenico, who's been doing work on Flash recently, but I'm not sure if they're necessarily Italian. I may be saying that wrong, so I have to look into that. But I'll look into who is actually Italian and find out. I will tell you this though: I don't read a lot of Italian comics or European comics. I probably should. I probably really should, because America does not have the lockdown on comic books by far, for sure. Yeah, Michael, what's up? I'm loving Baby Teeth too. I think Baby Teeth keeps getting better and better and better. Oh man, Buff, you just asked me about the New Age of Heroes, and that's a whole thing. So let's go over what is coming out this week at DC and Marvel and a few others, and then I'll get to that, because that's a rant I've been wanting to do, because I have some thoughts. Aquaman number 37 is out this week. That's exciting. Batman number 49 is week, the penultimate issue to the wedding. A new Detective Comics trade paperback, Follow the Batman, is out. That's awesome. The new Batman Prelude to the Wedding is going to be the Red Hood versus Anarchy, out this week. The Dark Prince Charming, yeah, that book 2 is out this week. That's exciting. Brave and the Bold number 5 is out this week from Liam Sharp. His artwork on that book has been some of the most beautiful, rich, and highly detailed art in comic books this year. Absolutely. A new issue of Kate Carson and Damage is out this week. Deathbed number 5 is out this week from Vertigo Comics. Future Quest presents Green Lanterns number 49, Harley Quinn 44, Justice League number 2. Super excited for that one. Scott Snyder just did a YouTube video where he showed the first page and first scene, and it was awesome. I was very excited for that. Man of Steel number 4 is out this week. New Challengers number 2. Been liking that one. That's really cool. That's interesting. DC's doing a Superman 0 Hour trade paperback. That's super interesting. Excuse me. And Wildstorm number 14. I'm a huge Warren Ellis fan. That is exciting. From Marvel Comics, we have Dan Slott's final issue of Spider-Man 801 out this week. It's the epilogue to everything that he's done. Ant-Man the Wasp number 2 is already out. That's crazy. That was fast. Avengers number 3 is out this week. It's going to be so crazy, guys, to read Justice League number 2 and Avengers number 3 all on the same day. I'm so looking forward to that. Oh, that's amazing. Captain America 704. Cable 158, Champions 21, Daredevil 604. A lot of these I don't read. The second issue of Mark Waid's Doctor Strange is here. I'm very excited to see that one. Claws of a Killer is out from The Hunt of Wolverine with issue number 2. That is out this week. Infinity Countdown, the Black Widow one-shot. That stuff's been interesting. And also the Infinity Countdown Champions number 1 of 2 is out this week. The Spectacular Spider-Man Annual, Spider-Gwen, Poe Dameron, Tony Stark, Iron Man number 1. That's Dan Slott's last issue of Spider-Man and first issue of Iron Man out on the same day. That's exciting. And a second print of Venom number 1, in case you missed it. A new Weapon H, new X-Men Gold. And that's about it from them. Now let's look through and see if there's anything. Let's look at Boom real quick. Fence number 7. Giant Days trade paperback extra credit. Fraggle Rock number 2. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 28. Planet of the Apes Ursus number 6 is out this week. Regular Show 25 years later number 1. That's going to be interesting to see. I'm a huge Regular Show fan. That's really cool. New WWE book. Anybody read those? Do we have anything from Vault? They just kind of mix it up here with all the other companies, don't they? I don't think we have a new one from Vault this week, though. I don't think so. This is dead air. Do you guys like that? Dead air? All right, let's just cut that out. All right, guys. Let's look. Infantino is not Italian. My bad on that. But Dijon Domenico is. So there's my answer right there. Sorry about that. All right, let's go back here. I've missed some comments. All right, guys. New Age of Heroes. But before we get to that, am I hyped for Fantastic Four? Absolutely. Super crazy. The last issue of Sideways was pretty bad. I agree with you. Probably going to let go of that one. Hey, yeah, Bright Guy. Immortal Hulk passed the test. It passed my test, too. Can't wait for the second issue, just like Spencer. Otaku, my favorite Donny Cates series is God Country. I really also like Buzzkill. That's a good one. Let's see. Baby Teeth is good, though, Michael. I really like that one. I think Marvel 2-in-1, I hope it lasts. I think it will maintain, I think it will be a Thing team-up book. That's what it was originally. I hope that Marvel allows it to continue on beyond the second arc because I just love it. And I think Zdarsky's doing a great job on that book. And I think it'd be cool to become a Thing team-up book. And that's what it was originally. And that would be cool. Also, Sarah Pichelli is Italian. That's really cool. I didn't know that. So that's awesome. And yes, she did become famous for Miles Morales. And I'm very excited to see her work on Fantastic Four. I'm not reading a Reactor right now because I have not been reading Interceptor. And I kind of want to read both of them. And Interceptor's hard to find right now. Matina is Italian. His artwork is really good. It's very fire. Like his recent DC stuff's been really, really good. So good. No Vault this week, but it's okay because when they do release something, it's high quality. And they've been releasing a few in these last few weeks. Stephanie, I'm with you right there on the X-Men. It hasn't resonated with me in a long time either. There's some big things about to happen, but it's a slow burn into it. I don't know why they're doing such a slow build into it, but this extermination event by Ed Brisson is going to wipe out or deal with this whole time-displaced X-Men thing. They got Rosenberg on the title right now. Thompson's coming on the title, Kelly Thompson. I guarantee it. I am fairly certain that X-Classified book is a Kelly Thompson X-Men book. So I think the times are changing for the X-Men. And I think a lot of it is going to hinge on what's going to happen in Extermination. But I agree with you, seriously. Yeah, a lot of people like Matina. His covers immediately started just gaining so much steam on the aftermarket. And his work is beautiful. That recent Flash cover, his Suicide Squad covers, they're glorious. They're amazing. They're brilliant. No more news on the Grant Morrison rumors on Green Lantern. But if it really is happening, we will get an announcement. If DC wants to do, if Grant Morrison's coming on the Green Lantern, that's a San Diego Comic-Con type announcement. So wait for that. If we don't hear anything after that weekend, who knows? But I think I feel in my soul that it's going to happen. But that is based on nothing other than just hope. What's up, Aggressively Relaxing? I like that name. We should all be aggressively relaxing. Daredevil has Murdoch as mayor, but so far his big move was to let out B-villains to fight ninjas for him. It's a silly world with so many heroes. I have not been really liking what Charles Soule's been doing over on Daredevil. I haven't been checked it out. David, I'm with you. For the love of the gods, put Grant Morrison on GL. What's up, Tony? How you doing, man? Welcome back. Told you we'd be here today. Just finished Kelly Thompson's Hawkeye on your recommendation. Loved it. Thank you. Oh, thank you for checking it out, man. Kelly Thompson's an amazing writer. She just released a brand new Nancy Drew series. And I know it sounds silly, but read it. It's awesome. It's so good. So good. I imagine if you're a Nancy Drew fan growing up, you'd really respond to it. I was not. Never really read any of that stuff. I did read a little bit of Hardy Boys, and they make an appearance. But I'm going to tell you this. I loved that book. It was so good. If you're a fan of her work on Hawkeye, or Jim and the Holograms, which is where I discovered Kelly Thompson's work. Fantastic stuff. Well, Tony, I wouldn't say that they suck. I think Flash is good, but I think those books don't need to be canceled. I think they need to have some fresh blood put into them. And there's rumors right now about Grant Morrison coming in to do Green Lantern. And there's a rumor right now about, what's her name from Miss Marvel? Is it G. Willow Wilson? There's a rumor about her coming up to do Wonder Woman, which would be really exciting. So, but I agree, those books have been lagging a lot lately, and they need some creative shakeup. Donny Cates on Venom 2 issues in is amazing, and I'm loving it. And I loved his Thanos run, but I'm responding even more to his Venom run because I'm a long-time Venom fan. And yeah, Cates' Venom is exciting. Yeah, Bri Guy, it's all on the same timeline. It just all happens at different points. So it will work out eventually. But he's back. He's back. Steven says he just got, what's up, buddy? Said he just got back from the shop, picked up Venom 1 and 2. Dude, read them. You're going to love them. They're amazing. Some of the best Ryan Stegman artwork I've ever seen. And it completely, in 2 issues, changes everything about Venom. And it does it in such a great way. Thank you, Lloyd. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. What's up, David? Yeah, I did totally. I've been reading Old Man Hawkeye, and I'm loving it. It's really good because I was a big-time Kurt Busiek and Fabian Icier's a Thunderbolts fan. And so it really tugs at those, like, old-school Thunderbolts, like, heartstrings. It really does. And I think it's really, really fun. It's great artwork, too. And this Ethan Sachs guy that's writing it, I don't think he's done any comic book work before. I think he's done some television work or something. He's made for comics. His scripting, his pacing, everything is spot on. It's so good. Oh, Stephanie, Crossed is not for everybody. It's definitely not a book for me either. He does do some really good artwork, but yeah, Crossed is out there. Yeah, Old Man Hawkeye is good. Yeah, Royal City stays just as good as it started. Arc 2 is amazing, and Arc 3 is going to be the final one. And this book is just so good, somber, reflective, deep, personal. I love it. Love it. Yeah, right? Okay. Yeah, you guys are liking Old Man Hawkeye. I am too. That book is really, really fun. All right, let's talk about this New Age for Heroes thing. So the New Age for Heroes was, is that Thunder? It's a New Age of Heroes was DC's launch, kind of like of trying to have some new characters post metal, and they all kind of was supposed to be tied into metal. It's all so loose, vague references and some metal bits here and there. But the big draw was that they had these artists come in. They were like the biggest artists. You have Ivan Reyes, Jim Lee, Doc Chenier, Tony Daniel, like big time artists. Andy Kubert, right? So they build the artists first. They do all this plot first, right? So DC is usually written full script, meaning like panel 1, this, and the captions and narration are. But Marvel back in the day, like Stan Lee kind of like started this stuff. I think they started way before Stan Lee actually, but they would like give you like the artist like a plot, like a page or two of like, this is what happens. The artist would break that down into a story, and then they would put the dialogue in over that. That's what they did back in the days, especially with Jack Kirby. That's why Jack Kirby should be credited with a lot more writing than he did. Same thing with Ditko and Romita and all those guys back in the early Marvel days, John Buscema, even later on, Neil Adams, and all this stuff, right? In fact, the artists are just as important at telling the story, if not more so, than the writers, okay? But so they were going to do plot first, so they were going to like really highlight the artists and all that stuff, and they had some new characters, and they were going to introduce them, and I thought they started off really, really strong. But I was worried about what would happen if those artists left the books. My favorite one out of all those books initially was Damage. But the moment that Tony Daniel came off of that book, the quality dropped like crazy. His influence and impact was so important to that book that I don't know if it will survive without him. I think that is the same with all of the books. The only one who the next artist that came in that I really, really liked, first of all, Terrifics, that's been up and down because you had Ivan Reyes, then didn't Joe Bennett do one of them? Then you had Doc Chenier for like an issue, and just if the artwork was more consistent in these books, I could deal with it. I think Rocafort leaving Sideways in the last issue hurt that one. I think that Victor Bogdanovic, or whatever his name is, the guy that took over Silencer, that's the best one to continue on artistically. But I think that ultimately this line is going to be a dud. I don't think it's going to resonate well with fans. There are books I like. I like the Terrifics, but I think it's had a very shaky start because of very inconsistent art. I liked Damage until Tony Daniel left the book, and I've not really, it hasn't really engaged me like it was before. Immortal Men was a complete dud for me. I love Curse of Brimstone, but if Philip Tan doesn't do that book, I don't know if I'd like it as much because the artwork is so solid on some of these books. It's the main draw. It's kind of like back in that Image days where like the artwork was cool, but they didn't have anything story-wise to really keep it going, really keep you engaged. I'm worried that it's going to happen with this New Age of Heroes. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But Terrifics is cool. Like I said, Damage was all right. I'm loving Curse of Brimstone right now. And New Challengers, the first issue of that was really interesting. And if that's just a mini series, so if they can keep Kubert on that, that's going to be cool. But that's my opinions. But ultimately, I think it was kind of like, I just think, and it's just, I don't know. Especially with New Justice happening right now, I think a lot of fans have already forgotten about it. That's just me, though. That's just me. So now that I've ranted about that, let me look and see what you guys were saying. Get caught up on some of y'all comments. My very first comic book was the first one I ever bought or owned. I remember was like a Fantastic Four. It was like back in like $2.98, $2.99, something like that. I had a DC Comics Presents Superman and Captain Comet issue that I loved. I had an X-Men 201 or something. Or maybe it was somewhere around the 200s, but it was, I think it was a Romita cover, but it was Rachel Phoenix, like all crazy out. That was my first X-Men comic I owned. I had some Secret Wars comics, I remember. Those were the first ones. The first one I ever bought on my own when I walked home from school and I was passing this comic shop in my town called The Comic Shop. Really clever name. And so I went in there and I bought my very first comic on my own with my own money with no parental supervision because I've been buying comics for years at this point with parents buying it for me. First one I ever bought on my own was Fantastic Four 374, which was the new Fantastic Four versus the old Fantastic Four, and that was super fun. And I bought that one because I loved the FF, I loved Marvel, and it had the most characters out of anybody else on the cover that week. Isn't that funny? But yes, my first comic books were that DC Comics Presents and Fantastic Four and X-Men books and some Spider-Man books, Amazing Spider-Man around the gang war time, I think, and around like early web of Spider-Man type stuff. Remember reading that stuff. David says, Terrifics is the best New Age of Heroes book. Aggressively Relaxing says, X-Men is crazy right now. The evil plots are awesome, but the hero cliches make no sense or clicks. Stephanie says, I really like the worst X-Men ever, found to be very funny and love the art by Michael Walsh. Would love to see more of him. That was a great book written by Max Bemis. Sideways was excellent until this week. Chiquetto is also Italian. Well, there's another Italian artist I like. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, Comics. We're learning a lot more about Italian artists that we already love. Yeah, Michael, this week was bad for Sideways. I think we're going to see more of that on these books. I'm so nervous when it happens to Curse of Brimstone because I'm loving that book and I'm pumping it up so much. Yeah. I'm with you because when you got these books and they're kind of like dropping off in quality, you got so much good stuff out, it's going to be hard to keep this line going. I read the first issue of that Ragman series. Didn't really like it that much, but Ragman is a cool character. I've read, I'm actually in the middle of book 4 of The Dark Tower right now, novel-wise. I've never read the comic. I heard very good things about them. But I would recommend that you read the books first. And if you're talking about the books, 1, 2, and 3 are awesome. I'm in the middle of 4. I'm actually in the first third of 4. But I'm liking it. I don't think you should pay that much money for a Stan Lee autograph, but I think that Stan Lee's autograph is one of the most plentiful autographs out there. But the thing is, a lot of people are holding on to them right now, sadly, for a day when he does pass away. But you should not have to pay that much for a Stan Lee autograph. But whatever the market says is what the market says, but that's too much, I think. Sideways has one more issue before it gets fired. I agree. I may have already fired it. All right, Simon's loving Curse of Brimstone, Damage, and Immortal Men. Heck yeah, dude. Damage was one of my favorite ones. I really wish Tony Daniel would do the artwork. His artwork was amazing. It was like his best artwork of his career, in my opinion. My favorite Marvel DC villain and also Marvel DC hero. No surprise to anybody who really knows me. My favorite Marvel villain is Doctor Doom. My favorite DC villain is Darkseid. My favorite Marvel hero is Mr. Fantastic. My favorite DC hero is Aquaman. Comics. And about the next Aquaman movie, I'm excited for it. I have not really liked the direction of the DCEU or whatever. I did not like Justice League. I thought Wonder Woman was all right. I love BVS, though. I really, really do. I'm one of those guys that wants to see a Snyder Justice League cut. I'm one of those guys. But I'm very excited for this Aquaman movie. The new images I saw got me really excited for it and hype again, because my interest was waning in anything that they're trying to do right now. Yeah, David, at my shop, we do sell card games. We sell a lot of them to a bunch of different people and a lot of different games. Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Vanguard, Buddy Fight, Dragon Ball. What else? There's so many of them now. So many. I personally do not play a lot of card games. I played Magic the Gathering for about a year or two at one point in my life. But I read too many comics. But we do. It's a healthy community in our town, and our shop is like mostly comics, but it's the card game community and the board game community is a big part of it. Tony, I just read your comment. Choked me up. I'm not a Rob Liefeld fan, so I am happy with him being where he is right now. I like Silencer a lot. Yeah, McFarlane's not going to draw Aquaman. That's not going to happen. McFarlane's set. But that being said, I'm not the biggest McFarlane fan. I would like to see him draw that Peter David hook hand Aquaman. That would be super cool. That's my favorite Aquaman. What's up, Christopher? How you doing? The DC Black Label stuff, as far as I'm aware, the reprints in paperback is as far as I'm aware. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're putting some of these books onto the Black Label. I don't think it's necessary, but it is cool, I guess, because it's showing that they have a commitment to making more diverse stories and not be tied down into continuity. If you want the DCU stuff, it's there and it's labeled clearly so, and it's awesome. You guys know me. I'm big into the shared continuity of like DC books and Marvel and all that stuff. So I think it's cool, and I think Black Label is a really cool, fine idea, and I'm excited to see what's coming out. I made my McFarlane comment, and my McFarlane comment for the week is I would really like to see him draw Peter David's Aquaman. Why is Aquaman my favorite hero? Aquaman is my favorite hero because I adored that action figure when I was a kid. I had a Superpowers Aquaman action figure. That reminds me, we're going to get to this Lex Luthor figure in just a minute. I think Aquaman is super cool. It was the Peter David run that really cemented it. First of all, when I was a kid, I had that toy. I loved that costume. The orange and the green were like very striking to me. Those were like two of my favorite colors. So I like that. But the Peter David run where he lost his hand, and he had the hook hand, and he grew the beard and the long hair, I thought he was so badass. I loved him so much. And ever since then, I've been a big Aquaman fan. And then you add into this whole idea that he's kind of a joke and he's very undervalued. And my favorite thing about Aquaman is that he is better than people's perception of him. And I think that's a strong message and philosophy to live with. And I really respond to that. It resonates with me. And I think that the Peter David run of Aquaman is just some of the best comic books out there. And then when Jeff Johns brought it back in Brightest Day, I was super stoked and excited because they've tried so many wonky things with Aquaman to make him cool again. I feel like Jeff Johns made him cool again. So that's very exciting. And Momoa is perfect for Aquaman because they needed to find an actor who, the moment you saw him, you weren't making jokes. You just were like, this guy's going to be badass. And he really does encapsulate that Peter David Aquaman to me. All-Star Superman is one of the best. All-Star Superman is the best Superman comic book story ever told. It's like the Passion of the Christ. It's so good. Not the movie. I'm talking about it's like that important to philosophy and mythology. Does that make sense? The Passion of Kal-El. Yeah, I'm not liking the Hunt for Wolverine books. The Adamantium Agenda is kind of fun for a new Avengers fan. I thought the Claws of a Killer one was interesting, but ultimately, I don't know. I thought Weapon Lost issue 2 was better than 1, but I just wish they would bring Wolverine back and stop building up into it for months and months and months. But that's just me. Yes, Marco. Grant Morrison's Aquaman from JLA is badass. He is so badass in that run. So amazing. I agree with you. We don't need White Knight to be that uncensored. If you want to start on Aquaman recently, I recommend that you start with the Jeff Johns run. That's the New 52 stuff. That's book 1, The Trench. Book 2, The Others. Read those. If you don't like it, you just won't like Aquaman. Otherwise, the Peter David run from the 90s is really good. DC has released that as a book 1. A book 2 is coming soon. Those are the 2 best Aquaman runs, in my opinion. Momoa can't swim in real life? That's so funny. Yeah, Jeff Johns back to being more on the creative side and straight up doing that Green Lantern Corps movie. I think that's the movie for him to do. Then again, he was involved in that last Green Lanterns movie, but how much? How much? And Jim Lee has been promoted, basically. I mean, it was already the gig that he had. He was sharing that position with Jeff. And now Jeff's just going back to the creative side. Jim Lee's staying on the executive side. I think that's the best spot for them, respectively. Bry Guy, I knew that you were going to mention that. I knew you were going to mention that. You mentioned it twice to the PCP Army. By the way, the PCP Army is a group on Facebook. If you haven't joined us, please get on Facebook. If you're there, if not, I understand. It's Facebook. It's crazy. But you can join us there at the PCP Army. You can find a link on the Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook page, or just type in PCP Army. We have a lot of fun there. I liked Amazing Spider-Man 800, but I knew from the get-go, I was prepared that this Red Goblin thing is just a story. It's finishing up all the themes and ideas that Dan Slott has been building for years and years. I thought it did a great job with that. I thought it did a great job of where it left Octavius, of how it handled Norman and bringing him back to prominence as Spider-Man's #1 villain, because to me he is. It had a death that I predicted and saw coming. But it didn't feel as, I liked it though. I did like it, but I get what you're saying. Does that make sense? Yeah, the end of Thor, by the way, if you guys haven't read Thor #1, and it's kind of like, it's the beginning of the third act of what Jason Aaron's doing. So like, it's kind of like the middle of this big story, even though it is kind of a fresh start. First of all, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the artwork. I love Mike Del Mundo. I know it's not your typical comic book fare, but to me, that's why I love it. But I thought that was a really good book. But the ending of that book is crazy on the level that Donny Cates' Cosmic Ghost Rider was. So the ending of that Thor issue is really exciting, and we'll have new action figures soon based on that. I guarantee it. You bought 3 and felt robbed. You bought 3 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 800. I'm sorry, man. I think you're awesome, but that's your fault. It's a $10 comic. You bought 3? Well, the cool thing is those are probably going to have resellability depending on the covers you got. But I'm sorry that you felt that way, man. I really am. But I liked it. I really did. That is not a John Walker action figure. Oh, you're talking about U.S. Agent? Yes. First, I was like, John Walker. I thought that was Walker, Texas Ranger for a second. If you're talking about, is it John Walker? You're talking about U.S. Agent? Yeah, that's a U.S. Agent figure, man. I love this figure. It's a repainted Captain America figure. I got the Captain America figure up there. It's just repainted. I'm a huge sucker for these Toy Biz Marvel figures, because those were the toys that I grew up collecting outside. Like, I was really young for Superpowers and Secret Wars, and I had those, but I wasn't really cognizant of going to the toy store and buying those. Though I do have a very specific, concrete memory of going into a toy store at the mall. It was before it was KB. It was like Circus or something like that, I think. And just this whole like end cap of Secret Wars figures. And I remember it blowing me away and buying Wolverine. Yeah, well, I hope that Gambit, if Gambit's movie comes out and it's really good, you will make a killing. But even before that movie comes out, you'll make a killing. Just get ready. Oh, I love that Captain America U.S. Agent costume. I'd love it. And yes, the Green Lantern movie bombed, rightly so. Join the PCP Army. Facebook isn't that scary. That's what Bride Guy says. What's up, Slime? How do you get Marvel to stick with the glossy covers like Avengers #1 and Thor #1 got? I'm tired of picking up my books and seeing color rubbed off on the sides. Ooh, I love that Mike Del Mundo too. Really, you're having a problem with the color coming off? I have not noticed that, but I'm going to keep an eye out for that. The way that you're going to be able to get more of those covers is to pay $5 to $6 per issue, which I don't think we're ready to do. Yes, Spencer, thank you for joining the Army. I hope you're having fun with it. Yeah, David, I'm right there with you. I was so pumped for Green Lantern. I defended it. I defended it like crazy before it came out, because there are a lot of people that I know that are very just they just like to argue and debate about comic book and comic book movies, and especially when it comes to Marvel versus DC. And I defended that thing, and I was like, no, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fun. And man, right? That being said, I own it on Blu-ray, and I've watched it more than 2 times. Mark Strong as Sinestro was perfect in that movie, by the way. Your son's going to inherit your Spider-Man 800s. I hope they send him through college, buddy. And happy Father's Day. I'm nodding like you guys know what I'm reading. Stephanie, that Mojo toy was cool. I've never liked Mojo that much. When he's in a comic book, I go, oh, it's a Mojo story. Or when we were watching the X-Men animated series when we were kids, and we're like, oh, it's a Mojo episode. But that action figure was awesome. It was so big and heavy. It was great. What's up, Chris? You're talking about the new Deadpool #1. I am not a Deadpool fan, but I read that new #1 by Scotty Young, and oh man, I can't remember. Nick Klein, I think is the artist's name. I was very impressed, so I think it's worth reading. No, Stephanie, I've never read Postal, but I've heard good things about it. Mojo is super creepy. All right, I'm going to show you guys this because I promised this. It's of the Mojo world. It's Mojoverse, right? Lex Luthor. I told you guys on Facebook that I was going to talk about this. Do a little bit of show and tell. This is my Superpowers Lex Luthor action figure and Lex Soar vehicle. So there's Lex Luthor in there. I'm going to pop him out. Dun, 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 dun. I just recently, because my buddy Chris got the Clark Kent action figure, and that was super cool. I mentioned that in the video. But there's the Lex right there. I loved this figure when I was a kid. I'm glad to have one now. He does his little hand thing. They all do that, right? I love this because you could take off his little armor. Little chest plate. I remember at one point, like I used this as a Professor Xavier figure. But I love the figure. I think it's great. It's one of my favorites from when I was a kid. I just wanted to show it off. This is the Lex Soar. That's his vehicle. That comes right off, but it goes on. It goes back on easily. So I'll put Lex back into the cockpit here, and I'll show you this thing. This was a super cool, just stupid little thing. It's called the Lex Soar, and I thought that was neat. It has this little thing right there so we can come down, swoop down, grab Superman, and fly off. And then right here, he's got this little hidden compartment. It's not really hidden, though, is it? You open it up, and there's a bit of kryptonite right there for you. This was such a cool toy when I was a kid, and it sat on our set in the early days of Pop Culture Philosophers, like 2-3 years ago. And it's been in a box for a long time since then. And when I was recently packing up some stuff and moving some stuff around, I found it, and I just wanted to show it to you guys. So there you go. Yeah, the Mojoverse, right? Last week we had a new Deadpool #1. We had Deadpool Assassin #1, the Mark Bagley. You know, I met Mark Bagley this year in February, and he told me he was going to do a Deadpool book, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. And he did. What's up, Icy Cold Milk? Flex much? No. Never. So we're going to be wrapping up here in just a little bit. We're over an hour. So guys, thank you so much for checking out the video. We got some exciting books come out this week. Pick of the week alert to Gideon Falls. I just saw my phone going off, and it made me think that maybe Brett has sent me a message or two. Brett has been unable to actually comment on the YouTube streams for some reason. So before we sign off, I'm going to look and see what he has sent me, because that has happened. Oh, Steve Epting drew the Avengers so far back in the day. In the 90s, they had leather jackets. How cool was that, right? All right. What's up, Robbie? Watching on YouTube. Can't wait for the new Gideon Falls this week. Wish they bring back Alpha Flight with a great writer. That would be interesting to bring back Alpha Flight. Steven Seagal had a great run on Alpha Flight if you've never checked it out. And if you like Alpha Flight at all, I'm assuming you know about John Byrne's run. I do not have a comic shop. I work at a comic shop. Oh, well, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much. Yeah, back in the 2005, 6, and 7, and 8, I was in a hip-hop group called The Basement Show, and we have a couple of the songs here on the page. Fight the Night we use as a theme song for the Pop Culture Philosophers podcast. Let It Be Told we use as the theme song for Movie Monday. The Robbie Rants theme song is a thing that I did on my own without lyrics. But thank you so much for checking out those that music and complimenting and saying something. That's really super cool. So thank you so much. That's really cool. I'm glad you liked it. If you want to check out more of our music from when we did it, and I haven't done music in years, but if you want to check it out, you can go on, I think we're on Reverb Nation is what it is, but if you type The Basement Show with a THA, hopefully you'll be able to find it. I'll make a post on our Facebook page, on the PCP Army, and on Twitter about it maybe. Top 5 fantasy comics. I have to think about that. But right now it's like Isola, Highest House. What else is there? Oblivion Song, does that count? Thank you, James. Thank you, David. Your 2-year-old loves the Robbie Rants theme. That's awesome. Thank you. Sorry, Chris. Sorry that you always miss it. We try to do these at 7 o'clock on Central Time, Sunday nights. Try to do another one next week. Thank you, David. Thank you, Brian. Like I said, this is a sticker I just got from our TeePublic site, teepublic.com, Pop Culture Philosophers. T-shirts, stickers, mugs, all that stuff and more. You can help support this channel. You can also help support this channel on Patreon, patreon.com/PCP. You can unlock early access like Movie Monday. I usually try to release that one to you guys soon. We have a newsletter and other little tidbits. We're going to start doing more exclusive Patreon content coming soon. Once we get into the new studio, we get some things settled out. So be on the lookout for that. The newsletter, all that stuff, more of that stuff should be back onto the regular schedule. We are moving the studio. Chris, I haven't talked about it too much yet. We are moving the studio, and so the next few weeks, we're going to get, a few things are going to continue on like no problem. Movie Monday, the weekly the weekly comic book review. We may miss a pop culture wrap up here and there. I'm going to keep trying to do the live streams, things like that. So thank you guys so much. Black lights. I would love black lights in the studio too, but I don't know if it would pick up so well on camera. Oh man, Tony. Well, thank you so much. If you guys want more than one live stream a week, maybe you guys should let me know. I'm trying to get more content onto the channel right now, and once we get into a new studio, with the way things are going to shake out, hopefully I'll have more time to do some things like this. But anyway, thank you guys so much. It's been a blast. Sorry we were a little bit late today. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Be sure to check us out at popculturephilosophers.com, teepublic.com, Pop Culture Philosophers, patreon.com/PCP, and on Facebook at Pop Culture Philosophers and the PCP Army. And also we are on Twitter at the PCP Show, at the Rockin Robbie. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Good night. Have a wonderful day and evening, and have a great week, everybody. And don't forget, amazing comic books coming out this week. Gideon Falls, Justice League, Man of Steel, Avengers. It's a good one. Deuces. Thanks for rocking with us.